Hello, welcome along, Nigel with your Nigel's Modelling Bench. Welcome back to the channel. Sorry about my voice, it's a bit croaky. I thought my cold was going, but it's come back in full strength. It's been stupid fault. I went out last night to the pub. I was chatting with a couple of people, and obviously they had the cold virus as well, so great. Right, so what did we do in part one? We put this ridge down the hull here, this ridge down the middle, built up our arms. You can see I've sort of swayed a little bit from the instructions. I've glued the torsion bars to the arms because I thought it was going to be a lot easier to glue them on and have them working, because they're going to go in here like this. I'm not sure if this is the right way around or anything, but they're going to basically, that's the wrong way around, but they're basically going to go in there like that. And as you can see, getting the glue in there without getting it on the actual hull itself would have been extremely difficult. So I've glued the arms in, and then what we do is put them in and then glue them in at this end, and then we'll have working suspension. So that's all good. Now, put them tidy there we are. We also built up the wheels, the road wheels, and we used the P4 in there, and we've got the tyres on the outside. We've gone round and sanded them. Remember I showed you about sanding them and keeping them all nice and parallel and square. So that's all good. If you want to go around and nick and damage in them, whatever you can, but I want to build this sort of, very very lightly used. We built up the sprockets. If you remember, one of mine was damaged. The sprockets are actually fitted on here now. And then we looked at the different types of tracks, and it looks like we can use any tracks we want on here. We then built up the idlers. Now, I did these off camera because they're a simple sort of two parts together. And if you notice, there's no call out for the polycap. Now, I remember John used polycap 4, which is this one for the main wheels. I found that 2 fitted better. 4 is shorter in length, and I found that it sort of flopped in and out, so I've put 2 in there, and I think it fits lovely. I'm not fitting the idlers yet, as I explained. I never do until the tracks are done, and then you can see we've got a little indentation in there, and there's a little nubbin on the idler to actually make you put it in that position. But what I often find, especially if you use aftermarket tracks, you're always in this awful position of either having too much sag or having the tracks too tight. I would much prefer to cut that little nubbin off of the idler and then position it so that the track tension is just right. And what I sometimes do is put a rod through, and then I can actually tension them against each other, so they're actually supporting each other as well. Anyway, we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. The other thing we've got to look at is here. If you remember this rearmost arm here, swinging arm, that had a location notch on it as well, and a shock absorber. So basically what you'd have had is working suspension all the way along, except for the last one. So what I've done is cut that notch away. Okay, this is the special. I've cut that notch away so that I can fit this in here. It's the wrong side. So I can fit this in here, fit the inner end into that rod, into that bar, and now I have the working suspension. Now the thing is, I know what you're asking, the shock absorber will hold it all solid. So the shock absorber has got a hole in this end, so that's going to go on there, and then it goes into a hole in the back of the arm there. I get it to go in, hang on, come on. Bloody typical cameras on it, don't want to play ball. There we go. So now you can see once again that is fixed absolutely solid. So there's 2 options here. We can go along and cut and drill and put wire, metal rods and everything, and have the shock absorber working. It's going to mean making pivots at either end, and that'll all be great. What I would rather do, the simpler way to do it, is to cut the pin off and glue the shock absorber in position like that. Okay, so that it's still there. When you move the suspension, as you can see, it's not actually moving the shock absorber, and you'll see that if I can hold that shock and get the wheel on at the same time, and you can see none of it is visible anyway. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to glue the shock absorber in that position there, so it's there, but it's not connected to the arm at all. Okay, so that's the way I'm going about it, and that way we'll have the working suspension. Now I'm wondering if RFM put this notch in here to have this one solid, because it can't support the weight of the turret, because it is quite a rear biased machine, this one. Sorry if I keep calling it a tank. I know it's not a tank, but it kind of is, isn't it? So yeah, so let's get on and get this all together. So we've got the front sprockets in, so we now got to go back to stage 2 in the instructions, and we've got to put it around that way, So we've got these arms here. So that is the correct one for this side. Okay. So that's going to go into... Is that the correct one? No, that's not the correct one. It's the correct one for this side. Okay, so that's going to go... You see it's got lots of floppiness in it. So that's going to go into there. Right, and then we'll just grab a drop of extra thin and paint that in there. And that's that one held in. And then we'll just go along and do the same thing. That is right, isn't it? I've got the right side in. I don't think you can do the wrong side. If you try and put this in the wrong side, as you can see, it faces the wrong way. It's facing forward, so you can't really go wrong. Right, so we'll plonk that one in there. It's such a nice fit, this kit. You can see they just guide themselves straight into that hole. Look, no messing around, no trial and error. All I did on these torsion bars, I sanded the mould seam off at the very outer end because I found it was a little bit tight in the hull, and I worry with stuff like this, you push the wheel up and it stays up. So I wanted to make sure that they stay, you know, they don't hang around. So we get plenty of cement in there. Let them set. Just push them in like that. At the end of the day, if it all sags down, we've just got to put some glue in there and have them fixed. But at the moment, we're going to have a nice working suspension, which means we'll have all the wheels on the ground. So here, what we can do is fit this one. This is the one. The only difference is on this one, it's got this little nubbin on the bottom there for the shock absorber to go in. So for some reason that doesn't want to go in there. I don't quite know why. There we go. Didn't want to go in for some reason. Okay, so that's that one glued in there. So I'm not going to mess around with the suspension too much, because what it'll do, because these ends are now glued and they're softened, it'll just snap those ends off. So we'll leave all that to go hard. Might have been a better idea actually to use super glue in there. And I'll carry on and do the others. Oh, what we'll do with that shock absorber, so I'll show you what I'm going to do. God hands aren't the ideal thing for this. We're just going to cut that pin off of there. Just sand it away. And then I can place the shock absorber over that pin. I'll just put a drop of cement, just a tiny drop in there, just to glue that into position. And then we'll have that and that sort of angle like that, I think. That glue clipping onto my finger, as you would expect. So now you can see we've got the suspension working. The shock absorber is roughly in place. So I'll go on and do the other side, and then we'll leave it to dry. We'll come back and see what's next. Alright, so the next part of the instructions, we've got this driver's hatch here. Now we've got all this detail on the inside, we've got little grab handles and everything. I'm not going to bother with any of that because we have no interior. I would imagine RFM are going to come out with an interior kit for this one. Who knows? But they've got all that lovely hatch detail. There's no point in having the hatch open to see it because there's nothing inside. We've also got this clear windscreen here. You can raise the hatch to a certain point, and I guess there that's an armoured glass screen, which you've got here. So you have this hinge. So I think I'll leave it hinging, so in case we want to position it with the glass screen showing or something, but we'll see. So we've got this actual part here. This is E2, and the hatch itself is going to go onto there. In fact, what I'll do, I will glue on this part first. This is E68. And I'm going to grab some tweezers because I've already lost this to the carpet master once. It took me forever to find it. And what we're going to do is put a drop of cement on here so it doesn't fly off again. And then that is going to go on there like that. Now there's an ejector pin mark on the inside of it, which is unfortunate, but I don't think it's going to show because the hatch covers most of it. So unless somebody's really looking for it, I don't think it's going to stick out like a sore thumb. as you can see there, the hatch just pops in, and you can see that ejector pin mark there. I may actually fill it. In fact, I think I will, because it's such a beautifully detailed model, and with all this lovely detail on the front here. We've got tread plate, we've got grills, you know, it's just calling out for a wash, and with the wash on there, that will stick out like a sore thumb. So I'm going to grab a little bit of super glue, and we can also then glue that plate on the rear here. Got this little plate going on the, sorry, not the rear, the front, going in there. So you can glue that on and go from there. So I'll get some super glue ready, get that filled, get some activator on it, get it sanded out, and then I'll come back. Okay, so that's that done. We've got some of the the VMS black thin super glue filled in that little ejector pin mark there, so that's not going to be visible anymore. And we've also glued the little brass plate on there. I'm assuming that's like a number plate or something, is it? Yes, it looks like it is. So yeah, VMS black thin. You can get this from brooksmodels.com. And don't forget your discount code, NMB10 or NMB20. 10 for 15 to £50 and 20 for 20% off £50 or over. So that's glued on there. So now we're going to glue this hatch. I've also glued this clear part on here, which is probably a waste of time, so I don't think you're ever going to see it. And then that hatch can go on there. And then what we can do there is come in from behind and just put a drop of cement in there and a drop in there, and that'll be enough to hold that down. Just put a drop in the front as well. Okay, so that's that glued in place. Now for some reason I must have put so much cement in there that it's capillaried out on my finger. Very strange. Okay, but luckily it hasn't touched the clear part, so we can just lightly sand over that. Glad that happened anyway, because I can show you the newer modelers. Don't panic when you get finger marks and stuff on your model. Just sand that out. It's not going to be seen anyway, because I don't think we're ever going to open it, but we will see. Right, and then this attaches onto here. So that's going to sit there like that. Okay, and then we've got this hinge piece going in from behind. So that's basically going to go like that. Now I'm going to see if I can get this to glue with capillary action, but it might get on the actual hull itself, but I don't mind because I don't really want the hatch to open anyway, I don't think. So that's glued on there, and that gives you the ability to open the hatch and have that clear screen displayed, but as I said earlier, there's nothing inside. So I don't know if you can actually remove this hatch. No, it won't come right out. I'm going to put another drop of cement on there just to make sure it doesn't fall off, because if it falls off, we'll have to glue the whole thing in. There we go. So that's how that's going. Okay, right. On the actual hull itself, there's ejector tabs on the back here. There's a piece of sprue in there. There's a piece of sprue in there. It needs to be cut off and all cleaned up. I think the sprue injection point was on that sprue in the centre, so that's all good. So yeah, really, really lovely, the big bulk detail on here and everything. Very nice indeed. This would look lovely part next to that M10. So, so we've done that. That's step 4. So now step 5 is actually attaching the hull to the actual lower hull itself. So we can get this done. So that's going to pop in there. Now on the back here, we've got these little C-shaped notches, and they're designed to lock into those little raised areas there. So if we put them in first, as you can see, it's slightly awkward, and then the front will come down. I think the best thing to do is push it on too far and then pull it back. There we go. can pull that back to there. There we are. It's quite awkward, guys. It's not like a Tamiya kit, but it fits beautifully once you get it together. Just getting it together is the hard part. Oh dear. Okay, what we're going to do, I think what I might do is add some plastic card, because it just keeps wanting to go up too deep into the hull. I could tape it, but the trouble is with taping it is we run the risk of having glue running under. What I do, I'm going to get my this is my Mr. Hobby orange tape that I reviewed a few days ago. This stuff is absolutely brilliant for assembly. Again, this is available now from Brooks Models. It's absolutely brilliant. You'll find that your Tamiya tapes, I'm finding lately, they tend to vary in their adhesion. So I'm just going to put that bit of tape there. We'll try and tape it at each end, and then we'll glue the middle, and then once that's cured we can remove the, see, this tape is very sticky. There we go. It's absolutely awesome. I wouldn't use it for masking, especially over other paint, because it'll probably rip the paint up, but for assembly work it's absolutely fantastic because it is so very, very strong. And also, I'll show you now, I've got tape here on the side of my bench which I've used 3 or 4 times, and you can still use it again and again and again. It just keeps coming back for more. There we go. Let's grab a piece from here. So what I'm doing is get my finger inside and pushing the whole side out, and then pushing the lower hull up in, just like that. It's a wonderful fit, guys, it really is. It's just a bit tricky. Now that bit there wants to go in behind there, look. Okay. I think that's clipping down too far, it's clipping back up to the right place. So there we go. What I'm half tempted to do, yeah, this is unfortunate, I'm going to have to put a lot of tape on here and then use tiny drops of glue and just tack it all together, which is a shame, and that piece is way too far gone. That piece is folded over on itself, but it'll probably still work. So we'll get that bit of tape on there. As I say, get yourself some of this orange Mr. Hobby tape, guys. You won't regret it. It's absolutely awesome. Okay, and then what we'll do, I think we'll just come in. You can see it's still. Let me work this out and then I'll come back and tell you what I've done when I've done it. Otherwise you're just going to be here forever watching me stick tape together. See you in a sec. Okay, what I've done, as you can see, it's all taped. I've got in between the tape, used the extra thin quick setting, held it all together for 30-40 seconds, and then come away and move along. And that way you don't get glue going underneath the tape. So you can see where you can see the shiny bits where the glue is, there. So literally just just come along with the brush, just tap it, and the glue will go along the joint, and then just without touching the joint, because the glue will come out and compare it to your finger, just hold it together. Otherwise it keeps wanting to come away this way, but I think that's good. So we'll let that just go off for a while, and then we'll come back and get it cemented all the way around nice and solid. Under here, just put some glue under there, little drop in there, little drop around those I assume they're going to be light unit fittings. So that's all good. So there's our hull all together. Right, let's have a look at this back plate. Okay, so you can see here in the instructions, you know what I'm going to say now, don't you? They would have us put all these detail greebly bits on this rear plate. This is the rear of the hull. And then we'll come along, asking us to build the tracks. And then here, we're going to fit this rear panel with all these detail parts on there. And I always like to do it first because it's exactly, I can show you exactly why. We can put this into position on here and it will pop in, but as you can see it needs to be held in place. Okay, if the ends stay in place, then the middle bows out. So if we've got detail all over it, you're going to break it off, you know, you're not going to be able to stick it down. So what I'm going to do here is tape this all together just like we did the main hull. Okay, so we can put a piece of tape there and pull that around. That'll hold that in, then I can push this end in. As you can see, it wants to bow out in the middle. So we'll tape this end in as well. As you can see, this lower part doesn't want to pop in either, but it will go. Just needs a bit of persuasion, that's all. Which is much better than having a sloppy fit, isn't it? Tight fit's always better than a sloppy one, isn't it, guys? Right. So we're going to pull this together. There we go. You can hear it all popping in. Oh, the tape's wrapped around my finger. Pull that nice and tight there. And then we'll do the same here. Oh, blimey. There we go. You can see it just wants to keep popping out. So as I say, you can imagine if we had all those mud guards and everything on there and the little light details and the little greeblies and bits and pieces, we wouldn't be able to tape it. We'd be trying not to break anything off. So I always suggest with stuff like this, always go this way. So you can see now that is all held together. Now the middle bit is going to have to be taped in because it's bowing out. Get that taped in like that. And the base is going together perfectly. You've got a weld line along there as well, which is absolutely gorgeous. Look at that, look at the fit there. How perfect is that? It's just unbelievably good. Right, so what we can do now, again with our quick setting, we'll just put a drop in there. We'll put a drop in there. And we'll put a drop in the middle. That'll be enough to tack that. And then we'll put some under here. Just to tack the ends in. Not too much on there. But we want enough to get in there and do its thing. And then on the top, I'm not sure, I have to look at some reference pictures. I'm not sure if there's supposed to be a seam along there, but I'm going to end up with glue marks. That's the trouble here. You can put some in there because the edge of that plate's there anyway. Put some there and put some there. We'll just give it a light sand to get rid of the glue marks if we have to. There's nothing going on there because there's nothing on the bloody brush. I need to top the bottle up. There we go, just a few little bits just to tack it in place. Don't want to go flooding it because it'll come out and run under the tape. There we go. So we'll leave all that to dry for an hour. And then it'll be safe to take the tape off, and we can then come back and start fitting some of this stuff, unless, hang on a second, yeah, we're all about fitting greeblies to the hull now, and then we're on to the turret. Blimey, this is a quick build. Right, see you in a minute. Okay, a few hours later, all that glue is dried. I've gone round here with the black super glue, and then I've gone over with some Mr. Surfacer. I've also gone down this little edge here with some Mr. Surfacer just to sort of get rid of any little tiny hairline gaps that are in there. And then Mr. Surfacer around this weld at the back, and that's it really. Mr. Surfacer around the front, and rubbed out with a cotton bud with levelling thinners on it, and that way you get to keep the detail. Just sniffing this to make sure it's Mr. Surfacer, and then just going down this edge here to remove any excess from the outside without running the risk of damaging any of those raised bolt heads or rivet heads or whatever they are. Now, make sure if you are going to do this, use alcohol or levelling thinners. Don't use rapid, or certainly not the cleaning fluids, because they can damage the plastic. So we've basically completed all this. We've got that glued on now, so we've got to add these parts. So you can see here we've got a photo etch part, so that's going to be cool. So I'm going to get my this is the Flexi 5K CA for PE, which is absolutely brilliant. And we've got the part here. Now this is basically an exhaust, okay, and this is another exhaust here. So what I've done with these two parts, these are E31 and E24. I've thinned out the back edge of them to make them look a bit more realistic. In fact, I'm going to have another look at the references and see if that needs to be thinned out a little more, or if in fact it is quite chunky. Just back in a sec. Right, so yeah, this is the one, this is E24, it's going on its side. That one certainly does appear to be like a casting, which is quite thick. So don't go thinning it out too much, although as the kit part is, it's very chunky, so you might just want to do something with it. And then this one here, this looks like it's probably sort of, I don't know, 3mm sheet metal. It's not, certainly not like car body material, but it's not that thick, it's not that heavy. So there we are. So there's that one, and then we've got this photo etch. There's like a deflector that goes on the bottom. I think this is the main exhaust. There's a deflector that goes underneath there. It's got like a bit of a curve in it. You can see in the instructions here they've put a curve in it, although they don't tell you in the instructions to bend anything or anything. So I'm going to put this on a sponge, and first of all I'm going to try a cotton bud and see if that's enough to get a curve going in it. I don't think it will be. No, it's not. So I'll use this this knife handle. That may be enough to get a curve going. There we go. Yeah, we've got a curve coming, so I'm going to do it some more, just to really, I don't really want a, you know, a semicircle or anything. It's just there we go. You can see there we've got the gentle curve going, and I'm just going to once again sand the back of it. Okay, and then there's my tweezers, here they are, and we're going to get our dirty old Pringles lid. So this this super glue for PE, the VMS stuff, again you can get this from Brooks Models. It's absolutely bloody brilliant. It really is good, tough stuff. So there we go. So we'll get the top edge, and then what I'm going to do, put some extra thin on there. And don't worry, I know extra thin won't stick PE, but what it does, it degreases it. Just touch that on the tissue just to remove the excess. Okay, and then we can put some of the VMS. There's Dotty chewing my chair. We can put some of the VMS there. Okay, just like so. And then that can go up under there. Make sure it's central. And that can just plonk itself there like that. Oops. The other good stuff about this VMS, it takes a little while to dry. So you've got, as you can see here, with a lot of super glues, it's bang and it's there. That's it. It's done. With this stuff, it's it takes a little while to dry, so you do get some time to sort of shift it about, which is a good thing. push that top edge down. There we are. Just like that. And then what I'm going to do is inside the exhaust, I'm going to get some of this black thin, which is thickened up a bit now. I'm just going to paint some of that into there. And then remove the excess with a cotton bud. And that will capillary down in behind. In fact, I've left a little on the side there. So just move that over there. Okay. I've just pulled a string out. Just get rid of that excess on there. As we go over the cotton bud, it tends to pull out what's already in there. As you can see, it's slightly thickened, so it's a bit messy. But one of the other good things with this VMS glue, if you do make a bit of a mess while it's still wet, or while it's, you know, within the first hour of putting it on, you can actually clean up with leveling thin. I'm making a right old mess here. I'm just spreading it further and further around the model, aren't I? What a complete and utter amateur I am. Right, so there we go. So that's that heat shield on. So we've done that. We've finished step 5 now. So on to step, oh, it's still step 5. So this is going to be all the back end. Now, a couple of things here. This part here, the bottom of this box, it says A57A in the instructions. It's B57A. And this one here, it says C21. And thanks to John, he found it. It's C2. So that's that for that. Now, obviously, you can do this as the plate and then put it on. I've done it so I could go around and fill all this seam and get rid of it and everything. So we've got D24 and D29. That's a big towing eye. So we've got those here. Okay, so they're already built up. I'm going to get rid of that super glue from my tweezers. So that one's going to go in there like that. I don't think there's any right and wrong way for these, is there? Okay, so what I'm going to do here is, not too much, just put a drop in there, because I don't want it all to go pouring out around the outside. And we'll put a drop in there. I shouldn't have done that. I know you should always dry fit first, guys. Okay, so that's that one in there. And then we've got these smaller ones here, which are D20 and D39. Let me know, guys, do you prefer to see me doing it this way, rather than taking forever cleaning parts up and everything, just having it all ready? So though they fit okay, so we'll put a drop in that one, and that one can go in there like that. We'll put a drop in that one, and that one can go in there like that. Right, there we go. So they're in. Then we've got that part C2, which is up here. Now this has got an ejector pin mark in the side of it, you can see there, and it's in the bloody side that you're going to see as well up against the door. So let's fill that one. You can see I filled it in with the black super glue. So that's going to pop onto there. I think that's a door stop or something. And then we've got the rear mud guards. I'm not putting those on yet. We've got the box here, B18 and B57A. Again, I've done that and de-seamed it and sanded it all out and everything. So that's all cool. Just going to quickly check on that end. And then this is going to pop. It's that way up. So it's got the latch at the top. Yeah, so the slot is in the bottom. So that's going to pop onto that raised tab on the back of there. So that's a perfect fit as well. Put a drop of cement on there and then pop that one on, just like so. And then here we have E23, which I've got here. E23 is another box, and it's got a little latch on it and a hinge. Hinge goes to the left, latch goes to the right. So what I'm going to do with this one is pop that in like that, and you can hear that sort of almost like a snap fit. So we can put some cement around the bottom there, and we'll put a quick drop across the top. Job done. Then we've got these rear lights, D33. Okay, are they the rear lights? Yes, they are. So we've also got the front lights here, They're yeah, the front lights are smaller. The front lights are just indicators, I think. So these are going to go over these raised pins. So as you can see, if you do get them mixed up, the front lights physically won't fit. Alright, so these are going that way up. Now what I'm going to do is put these on, paint the whole model, and then we'll go in the lenses afterwards. Okay, I may not actually add the clear lenses. What I may do is just paint them silver and then paint them clear red, because the lenses can possibly be a bit thick. Whoops. I don't mean they didn't go to school, I mean they'll protrude out of the face. There we go. I did think that was going to fit then. So there's our rear lights on. Okay, so as I say, we'll paint the whole model, then we're painting those lenses silver and then a bit of clear red. So that's all of that done. Okay, now I'm not putting the rear fenders on yet because I'm worried they're going to get damaged or broken off or whatever, so I'll put those on after we've fitted wheels and tracks and stuff. So going over the page, this is where we would have fitted our rear plate and the tracks if we built them, but we haven't. I haven't even decided what tracks I'm using yet. So now we're going to do lots of work on the front end. So as you can see here, we have some eyes, we have some lights, we have some hatches and everything. Now again on here we've got internal detail. I'm not worried about that because the hatch isn't going to be open. And what I've done here, you can see we've got these external hinges here, D42 and D42, and there's also one going over the page. So I've got one there, one there, one there. And then you've got these other little pieces, D43, and they're slightly different, and they kind of clip into the hinges, so they click into this. You can see one end here is open, and also on the end of here you've got this tiny little pin, D38. There's 3 of those. Okay, I hope there's only 3 of those. There's 4 on the sprues. I hope there's only 3 used because the Carpet Monster got one. So there we go. So what we've got to do is take this hatch here with the, you can see it's got the lip on it here. You need to do some good cleanup on here because it's got a, in fact I think I've still got a witness of a gate there. There's a sprue gate that's going over onto the top edge, which is annoying. But I think what I'll do is get a little, no, I was going to use a glass file, but they're probably a little too wide. Just use this sanding stick. We don't want any witness of that sprue gate there at all, but we also don't want to lose any of our bolt damage. Bolt detail. So then here we've got this hatch, and then I've got this hinge here, D16, it's a common part, and then this is basically going to glue onto here. You've got a pin on there that's going to go into that hole there, so we'll hold that one in place, and then this end has got the same. Okay, so there's a pin on both ends, and what we'll do is just come in from behind and just touch it in with a drop of extra thin, give it a little squeeze, and do the same on this one from behind, drop of extra thin, give it a little squeeze, and I want to check that that hinge is still loose. I don't want working, yeah, it's not, it's been attacked by the glue, so that's okay. I don't want working hatches, but I do want to make sure it's in the correct orientation. And you can see there it has that tiny square pin on the bottom, so that's going to go down into the hull. So it's I haven't put this this lever on yet because I need to check the references and see which position it would be in if the engine cover was shut and locked. I have a feeling it would be down, but there we go. So we've got to do the same on this one here with the hinge. So we've got the hinge there. So that is literally going to go, we've got a pin on the bottom going to go into a hole there. We've got a pin on the bottom going into a hole there. There we go. So we can hold that together on this end. And then we'll just plonk that down like that. And then we'll put this one together on this end. Just give that a little nudge, and then we'll make sure we've got this hinge in the correct orientation with the little square nubbin facing down. So that one is going, so this one is going on this side. So as you can see, I've already fitted this hinge D42, so that's going to go into there, and then that hatch will fit in there. Look how beautifully that fits in there. And then this hinge, you can see that that hinge D43 is going to fall down in there. So what we can do here is just glue these hinges. Okay, and we don't need to glue the hatch in, so we just get that nice clean edge with no glue around it. We just make sure that's all sat down nicely, and then this one's going to go down over the top. Make sure this hinge is in the right sort of orientation, and then that pin's going to go into that one, and then that's going to drop down onto there. And then that hinge D43 is going into that square hole. So we can put some cement in there, and we can put some cement in there. And what I am going to do is just put a little drop in here and push that down. Okay, so that's our engine covers. As I say, I'm not putting that lever on yet. I need to check my references. I'm sure it will be down. This part here, this is E4. I'm not actually putting any track links going on here. I'm not putting on it because, as I say, I don't know what track links I'm using yet. So we shall see. I've actually got the, you've probably seen my Riffield, my aftermarket tracks video. And I've actually got a set on order from Tiger Hobbies. So as soon as they come in, I'll have those. And they are the actual Riffield model 3D printed ones. So they should fit this model perfectly because they're made for it. So we shall see. There we go. And then we've got these two hoops on the front, lifting eyes, hoops, whatever they are, I don't know. So they're going to go down there, bolt-ons. So we don't want any sort of welds. We don't want glue all coming out to look like welds and everything. So what we'll do with these is we will just pop a drop in like that, and we'll get rid of that puppy hair. Okay. And then we can plonk this one on the same over on this side. How we do it for time? Great. Pop that one on that side. Obviously, if you, as I say, if you want to see a quicker video where you can just sit down for 10 minutes and watch it all come together, then John's channel is the one for you, because he's done a build and he's doing it much quicker than me. He just films the bits he feels he should be filming, not everything like I do. Then here we've got the headlights going in. These aren't actually numbered, so thanks to John, he discovered they are D32. So we've got these little lights here. Again, these are going to go on with that little smaller lens at the bottom. So they're going to fit on there over those slots. Okay, so we'll put some cement on there. And then that's going to go onto there like that. And they're going to be quite vulnerable. And then we've got another one here. So we'll put some cement over there. And then just drop that on there like that. And there we go. There we are. So that's that gone together. And then these are the headlight units, I'm guessing. Now I've assembled them already. Got D27, D31, D30. There's two clear parts to go in. Obviously haven't fitted them yet until the all the painting is done. But we'll remove any excess glue around there, and they are basically going to glue like little snail's eyes coming out like that. Okay, and they're going to be very vulnerable, but we do have covers to go on here. And they're going to kind of protect them, I think. So we can see there, that's how they're going to go. So they're going to be fine to go on and they'll be protected. But I'm going to leave them off for now, because I think I want to be able to get some painting behind there before I start fitting stuff like that. So we'll leave those off for now. So that's that. You can see how quick this is going now. Now then, coming up to here, we've got we're on our front end. We've got those headlight guards going on. We've got another hatch, and we've got this headlight guard with a horn in it. So the other hatch, it's got this, we've got the same sort of thing here with the hinge, but only smaller. So that's going to go on there like that. Okay. Just touch that on there. Whoops, that shouldn't have happened. Oh no, we've got glue everywhere. Right, if you are new to the hobby and that happens to you, don't touch it. Just leave it alone and let it settle down. Don't wipe it. Don't try and swab it up. Just leave it. However much cement there is, just leave it and it will be absolutely fine. Okay. And we've got our hinge there. And then the same as we did before, you can see I've got that C29, that little latch on the top as well. That's already gone on there. Okay. So this one's going to go into there like that. And then come down. And then on the back end here, what we'll do is we'll hold this hatch in place. And then on the back end here, on the front end should I say, we've got this hinge. And I want to make sure it's in the right orientation. It's not. So we'll get it turned around so that it is in the correct orientation. Which is easier said than done. There we go, it came out, that's good. Right, so we'll get this turned around. I want the square block at the bottom, there we are. So push that in there like that, push the hatch down. And then that hinge has turned itself again. Bloody swine. God, it really doesn't want to go, it's flown around the other way now. He's sat there going, don't glue me, please, I don't want to be glued, I want to stay free. There we are. And then a drop of cement in there, and that should make that all nice and secure, and that will hold the hatch in place. So you can see now the front of our Paladin is starting to come to life. And then we've got these headlight covers. So we've got this one going on this side. Now they're going to butt up like that, I assume. So we've got a ledge on here, you can see. So I'm assuming that ledge is going to sit over the top like that. That's certainly how it looks there. So we can come in there from the inside with some cement. Glad I left those headlights out now. Okay, so that's glued in. Get a drop in there as well, because we want those to be nice and strong, because we're probably going to be knocking them while we're painting and weathering and stuff. And the same on this one. This one has the extension on it for the horn. It's the wrong way round. Extension wouldn't be poking out, would it? Duh. Dummy. Right, so that's going to go on like that. This looks like it's going to be fun. This one does not want to go on as easy as the last one did, does it? So it's going to have to be held. Get some cement in there. We'll get some cement into there. Some on the end. Let that bite. And then I can put a drop in the middle there, and that'll go down the back edge. So they'll be nice and strong. So there we are, there's our front end. And we could fit the headlights now, as I say, but I want to get them painted. So I'm going to put them over here with my spare bits and pieces. They can go in there. And then finally on here, in this step, we've got this part here, which is, I don't know what it is. It's like something for hanging shields on. I don't know. I don't know what it is. It's probably for you know, notices that change. Don't know. But basically I've soldered all this together, so you've got the two little catches on the front with the piece that it actually mounts on, and then we've got these other two little catches there. So that's how that's going to go, and that is basically going to sit on those 3 bolts there, like so. But I'm not going to glue that on now, because it's going to be extremely vulnerable and probably get knocked off. So what we'll do is we'll bolt this on just before we're ready to start painting, and that way it won't get damaged. That's going to go on there like that. You can see it goes back. So basically what I've done is bent this up like that, so you can see the angle I've bent mine at. There you go. But there's no indication in here, and I wish they'd show an end on, you know, like they do in those Itileri Stratos instructions. I wish they'd do that and show us how it's supposed to go, but no, not Rayfield model. Alright, so that's going to go on there and slightly lean back. I mean, I can't believe it's a bloody shield for the tracks. It must be a plate they put numbers on or something. What's it like on the front of the manual? Yeah, it's just sat there with nothing on it. Again, there's no decals to go on it. I don't know what it's for. I don't know what it is. But it's showing it has 2 holes in it here. But the holes aren't right through, so maybe they should have etched right through and they didn't. So what we can do is grab a little drill. What have we got in here? We've got these things here. I think these are about 0.35. And quite possibly drill through, so we end up with a hole. There we go. These drills are awful. Horrible things. They're okay with a motor, but as a hand drill, they're terrible. They've got far too tight a helix. They just screw themselves into plastic basically and then snap off. There we go, that one's gone through as well. So what we can do now is get, this is like a 0.5 I think. That may be a bit big, we'll use the 0.4. There we go. It's gone through there. That one's gone through there. Just go through from this side. Okay, and then with a bigger drill, I'm just going to come along and very gently, that's not going to work. I shall have to use this little tool here with a point on it. Whoops. And we'll just come in with our little point on there and just push that in and deburr it. There we go. Right. So that's that done and ready to be put on the model, but as I say, very vulnerable, so we won't fit it yet. Now this bit here I need to do. So we've got E39, E69. I've got none of these taken off the sprue yet. I'm not going to do this yet because that's all going to be very fragile, but we can do this one here, E39 and E69. Right, so with this little part here, be very careful what you're doing, because when you look on here you can see it has a top and it has a side. So make sure you glue this part here, E39, in the right way up, so that when it mounts to the hull, it has this top is actually at the top, because it will fit the other way as well and you'll end up putting it in the wrong way round. So there's a few little bits and pieces out on this kit where the manufacturers could have sort of engineered a bit more foolproofery into it, for want of a better term. But it is what it is, and it is beautiful. It is an absolutely gorgeous kit. Very quick build. Very pleasing build, fantastic fit, wonderful plastic. On the whole, mostly great engineering. And you know, I glued that hatch shut, by the way. I didn't want it all flopping around. Yeah, so it's an absolutely beautiful model. Thank you very much, John. And I'm determined to get this finished before it's available in the UK, which is going to be quite difficult because it's only another few days now. And then we've got C29, another little C29 going on to there, so I'll get that off and get that done. You'll also see up here we've got D4. I don't know why they got D4, because D4 is a track. So I don't know why they've got a D4 there. So we've got to get that C29 in and we've got to build this up. Then what I might do is glue these parts together but leave the photo etch off for now. So let's get those off the sprue and see how we go. Alright, so I've got these brass parts off. These are actually Y37, there's 3 of them. I've assembled this box up, and I think this needs to be painted off the model because inside there is hollow. We've also got a big seam around the back here, which I think I want to deal with. These little photo etch covers, they can be put on, as you can see here, they can be on in the closed position or in the open position to expose. I'm assuming these are infrared sights or something, I don't know. But there's no indication whatsoever in instructions of how they're folded. So here is the part. This is extremely tiny. So this is the part as it comes off the fret. Okay, and as you can see on here, or not, there is a fold line on that side. There is a fold line on that side. And then you've also got a double toggle on the top. So I need to look at this one to make sure I get it right the second time. So basically, this larger fold line, the one further up, is going to fold down. Hang on a minute, let me get this right. That's going to fold up, isn't it? It's just by looking at a combination of different images I've worked out which way it goes, and now I've forgotten. Right, yeah, I'm going to look through my magnifiers in a minute, hang on. Yeah, so that one. Okay, on this one we're going to fold this up. Okay, and then on the next one, on the narrower one, we're going to fold it back the other way, like so. So you end up with a sort of, you know, a dog leg, and then this hinge on the bottom is going to fold up like so. Okay, so that's how it goes, and then when it's actually fitted, this is the front face. Okay, so that's the bottom is actually coming out towards you, and then this toggle on the top, it's doubled up so that you can fold it over. Again, I'm going to look through the magnifier to make sure I'm folding it in the right place. It's folded over back on itself, which is why you need to make sure you fold it the right way, otherwise it'll just snap off. And there we go. I'm just going to grab my little Nice tweezers here and give that a little pinch from the sides just to even it up. On this, there's 2 of them done, and then the third one. So wider line comes up, narrower line after it's turned over comes up, and then that hinge part folds over, and then, as I say, this is your front face, the hinge is on the back. So again, through my magnifier, see where I'm folding, make sure I'm in the right place, fold that over. Basically, as I'm explaining in another video I've done, you must make sure if you're folding right over, the groove must be on the back. If you try and fold right over and the groove's on the front, what will happen is it will just snap off. Okay, so there's our 3 hinges. Now hopefully you can see how that goes. I'll put one on my hand the other way up as well. Okay, so that's the back face, that's the front face. Right, so the hinge is on the back, and then they are literally just going to glue on. So what I'm going to do now is with a magnifier, I'm going to make sure they're all 3 are the same, make sure the bends are all right, and then I'll get them fitted and I'll see how they look. Okay, so fitted that C29, that handle on there, that's on, and I fitted the engine hatch cover latch, that's vertically down, and then there you can see, I'll hold this up close so you can see how it all goes together. What I've done there is put a drop of the VMS for PE and then position the parts and get them all nice and square, and then afterwards some of the 5K XT thin, which as you can see here is extremely thin. It's like water. And what you do is just get that on a knife blade like so. Knife blade is a fantastic glue applicator, and then just touch the side of the part and the glue will wick off. It'll wick off the blade onto your part, and it's a great way, especially for bigger parts, for getting the glue to go underneath the seam. So that's my little tip for today. So there we go. It looks like I've got that one slightly out on that side. I very much doubt if it's going to want to move now. There we go. But they're on anyway, so you can see how my interpretation is how they go. There is literally no folding instructions. It doesn't even tell you to fold it. So there's no folding instructions whatsoever. You've got to just work it out for yourself. But what I did, I looked at pictures of the real thing, and I could see that they had this. You can see on there they have this kind of. They come down out towards you down, and then the hinge is in behind. Okay, so if you're having them down, the hinge will be exposed. All right, so there we are. And I'm just going to pull that toggle on the top over a touch because that's gone over. But once they're painted and stuff, they'll look great. You could have them open, but obviously I'm going to have this in transport mode with the lock on and everything, the barrel lock. So obviously if it was in transport mode, they wouldn't have these open, would they? So there we are. Now, as I say, I'm not going to fit this because I want to deal with this seam on the back. In fact, I can use some of that thin glue for that. So we can get that into there. And that will capillary around. And then we'll be able to sand that out when it's dry. Okay, so that's that done. Always use super glue up when you can. So I'm not going to fit that yet because obviously I want to paint it inside and also want to deal with that seam. I'm not fitting these forward mud flaps yet because they're going to impede fitting tracks and removing the sprockets and stuff. So not fitting those yet. Obviously not fitted this plate to the front as I explained. Not fitted front mud guards, not fitted rear mud guards. So there's lots of bits and pieces we'll go back through the instructions and pick up. But then for part 3 of this build, we're onto the turret. So I'm very much following the way John did it. Only my videos are a lot more drawn out. So if you want to see detail, as I say, stick around. If you want to see a quick build, get on over to John's channel. I think he's actually painting his at the moment. As I say, today is Thursday the 20th of almost said August, of February 2025. That's twice in about 2 weeks I thought I was in August. What's wrong with me? Anyway, well, there is a lot wrong with me, isn't there? Bloody lunatic. So I'll see you all soon. Thank you for watching. Don't forget, get yourselves on over to Brooks Models and get yourself some bits and pieces. brooksmodels.com. Here's the card here. And £15 to £50, 10% off. £50 and up, 20% off. NMB10, NMB20 is the code at your checkout. Okay? So thank you for watching. I'll see you all soon. Bye for now.